Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Desiree Marie Williams. I hope everyone is doing well. I wanted to just come back on here and share just an experience I had with the Lord and what I felt He was saying and what I think will even encourage you as you're watching this. A few weeks ago, I was praying for someone, and as I'm praying for someone, my eyes look up at someone else, and I got right away all these words for this second person that God wanted me to speak to. And I didn't go right away, but at some point I went and I found my way to this other person that God literally started showing me these images for this person. It was very powerful. And I finally make my way over there to share what God was saying to this other person. And it was so accurate. This person confirmed it was so accurate that what I prayed for them in that moment happened earlier that morning. And so it was a really encouraging moment for me to really step out on what God is saying and be obedient to what I'm hearing Him say. But the most amazing part, what I felt the Lord say was, we sometimes can get so many prophetic words, especially if you're like me, who grew up in somewhat of a prophetic environment. You're a part of a prophetic environment. We can sometimes take what God is saying for granted. We can sometimes take the prophetic for granted. You can be on either side, right? You can either take the prophetic for granted because you weren't exposed to it, or you can make it an idol. It can become an idol where you're like always trying to get a word, always trying to get a word. Where's the next prophet? Going to the next place to find a prophet, Or you cannot have been exposed to the prophetic and, you take hold of what is being said, but it can become an idol. So you can be on either side of the fence. But what I felt the Lord say was that we still need to learn how to really have a revelation of what happens with the prophetic, of what happens when God is speaking through someone to someone, right? So in this moment, like afterwards, when I started just processing, I was just like, wow, the God of the universe, the God who created heaven and earth, the God who created me, the God who created you, the God who loves you, the God who desires you, the God who cares about you, the God who speaks, the God who is always speaking, sent a word to this person that literally that same day, this person literally said, in the morning, I did exactly what you said and asked the Lord for exactly what you said in the same day. That He was so gracious, so loving, so kind, so amazing enough to send someone the same day to confirm what happened the same day and to confirm that you are right on the right track. God is not a God of confusion. He doesn't leave His children in confusion. He doesn't want His children to be confused. He's a God who brings order. He's a God who brings clarity. He's a God who brings walks with us in our paths in whatever we are. He is a God who leads us. He is the good shepherd. Like, He shepherds His sheep. He shepherds His children. And I just, I came home and I was just thinking about how in that moment God had me praying for I was praying for someone else on a part of a ministry team. But yet there was someone else who was far off. God stopped me and showed me all these things and had me go to this woman to encourage her heart, to encourage the season that she was about to enter into. And I just found that so amazing. And I think sometimes we can just become so comfortable with hearing a prophetic word about our own lives or seeing other things that we don't take hold of what God is doing in that moment. Like, we don't take hold of that God, the one who created us, is speaking to us, that he's sending His word to encourage our hearts. And that's just how faithful He is and how loving He is. And I just began to get so emotional that, one, God will use little old me, and two, that God is literally just speaking to His children so that they can make the right turn, so that they can grow in their faith, grow in their relationship with Him. And sometimes we get so many prophetic words that we don't take our words from the Lord and actually go into prayer or go into fasting or go into seeking after Him and bringing this word back to His feet. We kind of take it and it's like, oh, God spoke. And then we move on to what's next. We move on to the next thing or the next word. But it's like, no, take a moment to pause and remind yourself that God literally just spoke to me. Like, I just couldn't get that off of my chest and off of my mind this since that happened. It's like God literally spoke to you. And so sometimes we can just take for granted what God is saying. And so I believe that we're in a time where we have to really learn to steward what God is saying, when he's saying it, how he's saying it. I'm stewarding. Anything that God speaks to me, or any dreams that I have, I'm asking the Lord for better ways to steward what he's saying and what he's doing in my life, and what he's doing in other people's lives where he might speak to me. I'll write it down or voice record what he's doing and what he's saying, because I want to honor that God, the God of the universe, the God who made heaven and earth, the God who created you, the God who created me, the God who is here with me, the God who loves us, the God who adores us, took a moment to interrupt something else to speak to me, to speak to you. And I can't get over that. So I'm just encouraging you that the same way I'm in this place where I'm like, God, you're speaking to me. Like you're visiting me at night. You're talking to me. You're loving on me. You're loving on others through me. I'm just so grateful to be used by you, to know you. And I really think we need to take time to not seek the next word, to not seek what God is saying next, although he's always speaking, but just have the revelation that God is speaking to me, that I'm literally a friend of God. I am his. He is mine. We belong together. Anyway, so I hope that encourages you, that as you're moving forward in your walk, just when God speaks to you, take a moment to breathe that in. Take a moment to honor the voice of God, to honor that he loved you so much to send a prophetic word. But more importantly, read your word, right? That's the main thing. Like, reading the word of God, studying the word of God, that is where our words will come from. And so I'm just in a place where I want to learn to honor the voice of the Lord, like in a way that I've never done before. And so I'm just encouraging us all, honor the voice of the Lord. Do not become so familiar with the word of God, or with the prophetic word, and with the voice of God, that you miss him. You miss him because you're so familiar with the word of God. Do not become so familiar with God's voice that you miss him. I don't want to miss him. Anyways, I pray you guys are having a great week. We'll have a great week. It is Monday. And I'm excited to see how God speaks to me this week, how God speaks to you this week, and how we're going to steward the voice of God in a better way. So talk to you guys soon. Peace.